Hi everyone, welcome to my channel. Okay, so I'm gonna do a quick, I don't know if I'll call it a book review. I'm not really reviewing the book. I'm just saying like some really important lessons that I learned from this book right here. It's called Faithful. It's a novel by Kim Cash Tate. I'm just gonna explain. I'm gonna wing it. I'm sorry if I ruined this book for anyone who wants to read it. It just really spoke to me, and as I said, I was kind of introducing faith content. So this is gonna be like the first one, kind of second, my salvation story, which I can link in the iCard so you can check it out after you watch this video. So it's a novel. I'm so passionate. Something that you may or may not know about me is I'm really passionate. When I find something good, I can't shut up about it. So I just learned so much from this book, and I thought I could explain to you the many lessons that I learned. Trust me, it will apply to at least, like if you're watching this, you will relate with at least one character or one part of whichever character's story. So yeah, let me get right into it. Let me just read what it's about. So Sydney Sanders thought she knew God's plan for her life. She would marry, have kids, and then snap her body back into shape with Tybal. But she's celebrating her 40th birthday as the maid of honor at her little sister's wedding and still single. Now, her life is suddenly complicated by the best man. He's the opposite of what she wants in a husband, and yet he keeps defying her expectations, starting with a lavender rose symbolizing enchantment. Each rose he sends her reflects his growing love for her. Sydney's best friend Dana appears to have the perfect marriage until she discovers her husband's affair and her world goes into a tailspin. Then there's Phyllis, who is out of hope and out of prayers after asking God for 6 long years to help her husband find faith. When she runs into an old friend who is the Christian man she longs for, she's faced with an overwhelming choice. Lifelong friends with life-altering struggles, will they trust God's faithfulness and find the strength to be faithful to Him? That's pretty much what the novel is about. So, let me tell you the lessons that I learned from this novel, you guys. But before I feel like I did not introduce myself. My name is Mwape. Welcome to my YouTube channel. This is where we talk about everything. So if you'd like to be a part of the family, we don't mind. It's free. Just subscribe. There's a notification bell. You can stay notified. If you do the bell, and then when I post my videos. So yeah, let me get right into it. Firstly, I just want to highlight the fact that, as I've read, there were 3 friends. There was Phyllis, Dana, and Sid. I feel like her Sydney, but they call her Sid in the book. 3 friends, different phases of life, you guys. One is single, 40. It seems they're all in their 40s. One is single. The other one is married with a non-believing husband. And then the other one is married with a Christian husband who we discover along the way was unfaithful. 3 friends, different phases of life. But guys, I really appreciated the fact that they were still able to be friends. And they were friends from really long ago. Margie and I handle this in a video that will be coming up next week. So look out for it. Basically, can married and single people be friends? I appreciate the fact that they didn't feel like they could not be friends because one was single. Sydney was still able to be their friends. And in actual fact, at some point, Phyllis, I don't know if I'm ruining it, but Phyllis went away and they needed someone to take care of their kids at some point. And Sydney did it. Guys, I don't know what we're taught. I don't know. I'm not married. Hard for me to say, but I just appreciated the fact that they could still be friends despite the different phases of life. Amazing. Just to encourage you, you can still be a good friend. And it's they were a clique of some sort. So it wasn't that they were accountability partners. They called what they had. Oh, I don't know if I'll be able to find it. I have to put it somewhere there. They had a name for what they used to do. Something like fathers, daughters, or something like that. So they'll meet, is it once a week, to just catch up on life, accountability, where they were at, pray for each other, which is one of the amazing things about having Christian friends, honestly. People who you can be vulnerable with and who you can pray with. For me, that just stood out. Secondly, let me talk about Sydney. So at age 40, I like that she wasn't bitter. Like, we all know that, I don't know, some people do not have a desire to get married, but she was very honest about her desire to get married in the book. Even from the back part that I've read, she was very honest about it. And the fact that on her 40th birthday, her young sister was getting married. And her young sister was not the most spiritual compared to her. Like, she was actually the most jumpy. And you could see that she struggled with the fact that she felt she was faithful as a Christian, and her sister, who, for lack of a term, was less deserving, was getting married. And it reminded me of the fact that it's not always all because you are like way better in your spiritual journey, or because you tick all the boxes if you're a legalist, like, or because you've kept yourself, you've what, you're like amazing, you're the, like, people look at you and like, oh, that's like the perfect Christian. It doesn't guarantee that God will give you everything that you desire. He may still choose to sanctify you by withholding certain things that you desire the most. And it doesn't mean that you should be less happy for people. She still put her desires aside to be her sister's maid of honor, and she still loved her sister, which was just really amazing. And guys, she was 40, and on her birthday, actually, people didn't wish her a happy birthday. She was hurt, but it didn't make her stop being happy for others. You know what I mean? I was just like, yes, girl. Like, it was just really nice to see. Then in the book, she admits that she fell into sexual sin when she was 35 or so. And at age 40, the best man, I read in the back, decided to like pursue her, but he wasn't a Christian. And at some point he tried to like, because he was used to like kissing girls, sleeping with them, and he thought she was that kind of a girl, but she was able to stand up and say, listen, I don't roll like that. I'm looking for a relationship that can lead into marriage, and you are not a believer, so I can't be with you in that sense. I'll put the verse that talks about being unequally yoked. And she was just like, guys, they had chemistry. Like, everyone at the wedding was like, okay, wow, But for her, she chose to be faithful, which is what the book is about. She made that mistake when she was 35, but she didn't let that define her. And she repented of her sins and decided to live life in light of the fact that she is forgiven in Christ, and to put the right measures in place to not make the same mistakes. I don't know where you are today in your life, if you've fallen short when it comes to you having a sexual history, but it doesn't mean it's the end of the world. There's still room to actually make right decisions past that with the help of God, obviously. So there's that. The fact that she was very focused about being equally yoked. Guys, like, I know there are so many handsome guys, I'll tell you, who will not take you anywhere. Like, you even know, as a young lady, or even as a young Christian guy, or even as a Christian guy, however old you are, or Christian girl, lady, woman, whatever stage you're at, the devil, really, he works. Like, he will bring you someone, like, that this is not going to take you anywhere. And sometimes we are tempted to compromise because we are so frustrated with how much we desire certain things, and we are tempted to cut corners. But guys, be faithful. Like, don't give up, fight the fight, keep the faith, and you'll be amazed how God will change your heart, or how he'll bring those things in time. I've seen a quote about how if prayer doesn't change your situation, it changes you. So just keep praying, and you'll be surprised how God will come through for you. If it means changing your desires, or giving your heart to like change your perspective, change your focus, or maybe he'll bring it in his time. All you can do is trust him. Second, I'll talk about the lady who had the non-believing husband, Phyllis. So she became a Christian after she got married. So naturally, her husband was not a Christian. And she really struggled with the fact that he hated church. Guys, like, she had to go for reunion, high school reunion, and her kids loved church, and they're like, Dad, take us to church. And he was just like, can you stop the kids from talking about church? Like, if they keep begging me to take them to church, I'll stop all of you guys from going. It was that bad. And I feel like as a Christian lady, it was her desire to, it says at the back, like, her desire was to have a Christian man, like, she would literally look at people and be, if you read the novel, you see whenever she saw a man flourish, like in church or like as a Christian, she was always filled with that kind, like, envy, for lack of discontentment, because she was like, I just want that. And I was reminded of the many aunties at church. Like, if you go to church, there are so many aunties who will come to church alone with their kids. And I think we ignore them. We never think, like, let me pray for her. She could be struggling with the fact that her husband is non-believing. We don't pray for their husband's salvation. We just think they're okay because they do come off okay. Perhaps they're okay, but just nice to remember them in prayer and commit them to the Lord, and to know that they may be struggling with battles that we may not be aware of. So for her, that was the big deal, and how she was tempted to, she kind of entertained feelings for another man. But the man just told her, like, you know what, I know you're going through a hard patch in your marriage, and I won't be that person who, you should go home and fight for your marriage. And later on, we discovered that her husband actually dealt with church hurt. He had a really bad experience with his parents growing up. And we never know where people's attitudes towards God and the church come from. I think it's nice to be sensitive because we carry burdens and baggage from our past, and you never know. So not to rule out the fact that people are struggling with things, but also people are depending on your faithfulness and obedience to God. Your relationship with God affects the way people also view God. I know someone who passes comments like, like Christians come to church, you should see them during the week. Like, your lack of faithfulness to God is affecting other people. So if you can, guys, and you can, we're told that God creates us a way to fight temptations in 1 Corinthians. I'll put the verse right here. He's created a way out. So let's be focused on finding that way out and living faithful lives past Sunday, because people are watching you, and it's affecting how they view God and how they view Christianity and how much they desire to walk with God. Given that if it's God's will, He will save them, but don't be that person that stands in the way of people coming to know Christ. Lastly, I want to talk about the wife whose husband cheated. You guys, he was that man who, the day he confessed in church, everyone was like, what? How could it be Scott? He was that guy at church who everyone looked up to, even among their group of 3 friends. You guys, everyone looked up to Scott. I remember Phyllis struggled with the fact that, she not struggled, but she looked up to Dana's husband. She was like, if only Hayes, her husband, could be like Scott. And then lo and behold, he fell into sexual sin with a girl from church. So he confessed to the church, he was repentant, but it reminded me that let's remember to pray for the people who we think are strong. Or because someone is a spiritual giant at church doesn't mean you should forget to pray for them. But also, don't think that you are, what's that word? You are too strong to fall. You know, when you're me, when it comes to sexual sin, yes, too righteous, me, sexual sin, me, I'm strong, I can't. Guys, anyone, if David could fall, so can you. I say this with so much seriousness. Don't think you are above it. You never know. You just never know. So be prayerful and don't think you are too righteous to fall. Take it seriously. Guard your heart. Mind your interactions with the opposite sex. If you're in a relationship, if you're married, even just if you're single. Talk to someone. If you're struggling with that, have people who you can be accountable to. He confessed. And Dana really struggled with dealing with that aspect of his unfaithfulness, but she trusted in God, and I can't put it guys, she did struggle. And I like the fact that the book was honest with the fact that she struggled. She mentioned the fact that the lady who he cheated with was really beautiful, and she obviously 3 kids later, she had gained weight, she wasn't who she was. And I remember at some point it explained the fact that she struggled with her body image, and she was just how will I enjoy intimacy with my husband knowing that he got to see a woman who was what I wish I could be. Struggles like that exist. I was just reminded that, guys, these things are real. I really appreciated the realness of the book. So don't look down on people who fall, and don't think you are above it, and pray for those, especially those uncles in church, especially elders. I remember I was talking to an elder from church, and I was telling you what, I forget to pray for you because they come off as they're spiritual giants. But he was we need prayers as well. So pray for those uncles, pray for those aunties. You never know what battles they're facing today. I felt like in order to pray for someone, I needed to sit and pray, like I kneel and like close my eyes. I think sometimes if someone crosses your mind, prayer is talking to God. So even if you're doing dishes and you remember someone, and just be like, God, you know what? I'm thinking of that person. Whatever they need, please be there for them, and draw them closer to yourself. You know the struggles that they're facing. Keep them faithful to you. Like talking, you can just talk to God. It doesn't have to be, you know what, I'll pray for them when I go to bed, because those things rarely happen. In light of that, you know how people confide in you and they'll be like, yeah, I'm going through a hard time with this. And you're like, I'll pray for you. Guys, pray then. At Black people, the only prayer they pray for is when they say it, I'll pray for you. Have you seen those memes? And that's the prayer. So like in that moment, when someone, we forget. So in that moment when someone tells you and you're like, you know what, I'll pray about that. Even if there and then you just say, Lord, like, you know, someone's shared this, that, and just be with them. And then you can say, I've just prayed for you. You know what I mean? Like things like that to encourage someone. You don't have to, yes, never leave it. If you tell someone you'll pray, either write it down and remember, or just there and then.
And then check up on them.
Oh, and check up on them, yeah. And that's a big deal. I think it's really encouraging when people text and say, hey, you know what, like I thought of you, you know, how can I pray for you? But in a real discipleship. So, Sydney's sister ended up actually stepping up spiritually. So, Dana brought her under her wing, and that's how she joined the group that they had, the little group where they'd meet, have meals and things like that. And with time, she began to see that having a real relationship with God is really important. I won't tell you how. So, guys, you know those people who we look down upon, like, you know, she's just so playful in church. She comes to church, she actually does that. Like, reach out to them, you know. My brother and I always joke about this, but bring them under your wing. You know, like, help them know better. Some people just don't know better, and they just need a guiding hand. Remember the fact that you're also coming from somewhere. So, be supportive. And Christianity is not about you. There's also the element of discipleship. Those who are younger than you, make that a part of your walk with God, helping people draw closer to Him. I won't tell you how the book ends because I don't want to ruin it. Oh yeah, and Mwaji is reading it now. But I highly recommend this book. I learned so much from it, and I just want to encourage you. I don't know what you are facing today, but just like look at it through like a biblical lens, you know, like life is bigger than you. God really helps us, especially like the issue to do with marriage, relationships, real life problems. I like that this book addressed it, and I appreciate my friends who I can talk to and have real conversations with, and don't shy away from accountability groups. Like, I won't lie. When Phyllis was struggling with the feelings for another man when she was married, she didn't go to her friends instantly and say, guys, listen. She struggled with, she really distanced herself from them. And it was proof that friendships will not always be straightforward, but her friends noticed that there was a difference, and they asked her, they checked on her, till eventually, eventually she opened up, like later on after she had dealt with it, and said she was really struggling with it, and they were able to pray with her about it. So it's okay to have those moments where you feel like you can't open up. They are normal. But know that you have friends, and just be a friend who your friend is comfortable with being open to about their struggles. So yeah, I hope this is helpful for you. I learned so much, and I hope you were able to listen and stay with it, yeah. So yeah, if you can get a hold of it, I don't know how. I'll try and post a link somewhere. But yeah, this is pretty much the book that I read, and I'll do more of these if I learn something. And look out for more faith content. Other than that, have a great evening. This video will be up at night, so have a great evening and enjoy your night. And yeah, don't forget to put God first and trust in His plan and remain faithful, especially when times are hard. Yeah, and if you read something good in your life, don't keep those lessons to yourself. You never know who could benefit from them. So share the lessons. There's so much to learn in life, and not everyone will come across what you read, but just for you to speak to someone so they can learn something, that makes a difference. And also, guys, I'm not the best reader in this world. Like, no lie. But I enjoy reading, just lack the discipline to be consistent. But just set some small targets, read here and there, realistic, it's not a competition, and all the best.
And you can hand over the book to me.
Oh.
This is a clear example of what you should do. Hand over
What Mwaji said. Okay, see you in the next video. Don't forget to subscribe, give this video a thumbs up, and comment down below if you if anything helped, Yeah. Take care. Bye.